How should I start this one? I was on a sabbatical, enjoying my time with my family during the holidays. Just enjoying escaping the reality and the bullshit of the world. While spending quality time with family, friends, and with kids and everything. But while I was doing that, news, obviously blew up with all kinds of shit and everything. And, the one thing that started out was, the Colorado shooting. I'll get to that in a minute. And then a few days later, shooting at a Walmart. Now, I get that a lot of people are stressed out and they're upset because of the lax gun laws that are in play right now. I'm a gun owner, and I thoroughly agree. There's too much, or not enough, actually, I should say, restrictions on getting guns. Now, whatever your personal feelings are on guns, that's between you and whatever. I mean, you don't have to like guns. You don't have to buy them. Nobody's telling you, this and that. And whatever your personal feelings are on an AR-15, let me just tell you, it's wrong. But that's my opinion. Now, between those two shootings, the Colorado gay club shooting and then the Walmart employee shooting, everybody, the media, the government, they all want to attack the one thing: the guns. And I get it. But here's my stance on it. Whether you like it or not, agree with it or not, that's irrelevant to me, because this is how I see it. A gun, just like a hammer, a car, a computer, a bomb, a knife, a pencil, anything, it is a tool. It is an extension of the intention to commit harm to somebody else. That's all it is. The gun didn't decide to go out and shoot somebody. Yes, it is designed to do that, just like a hammer is designed to pound a nail into wood, and a car is designed to drive from point A to point B, and a pencil is designed to write words. However, it takes us, human beings, to hold that hammer, to hold that pencil, to push the pedal in a car, to pull the trigger on a gun. They're all extensions of the intention. Plain and simple. The only thing that the government and the media and a vast majority of Americans want to attack after a mass shooting is the gun. Now, they say people shouldn't have weapons of war in their hands. Well, if you look at it that way, every gun that is owned by a civilian or sold in gun shops is technically a weapon of war. Whether it's a rifle, a shotgun, a handgun, they've all been around for a long time, and they're all used in war. Whether you want to believe it or not, that's up to you. However, the AR-15 is not a weapon of war. I have yet to meet a soldier or known a soldier that would take an AR-15 to battle. They wouldn't. It is a single pull of the trigger. One pull, one bullet. Now, there are guns in the military that do that, but they also have switches on them to go from semi-auto to full auto. Round bursts, 3-round bursts, and shit like that. Those are the guns that soldiers want to take to war. It's preferable. Just lay down the law as quickly, as much as, and as fast as you can without sitting there doing this. Now, like I said, everybody wants to attack the gun issue. Oh, that's the first thing they want to attack. Every fucking time there's a mass shooting, they want to go after guns. Every single time. Look where that's gotten us. Nowhere. People want to pull out statistics from the 80s and 90s when we had an assault weapons ban. All right. Well, let's talk about those statistics for a second. Now, during that band during the 80s and 90s, yes, there was a lot less mass shootings through the country. All right. Great. We also had an influx in gang violence in major cities such as LA, New York, Chicago, cities like that, where they end up getting assault weapons, or I hate that term so badly, it's not even funny. Because in a golf club, it could be a fucking assault weapon. So, then in the 80s and 90s, these gangs are getting these kind of weapons. They're getting Uzis, MAC-10s, they're getting AK-47s, they're getting all these weapons that are weapons of war, and they were committing heinous acts against one another. Now, you look at statistics and shit, and you look at the way this country is run, then nobody's going to sit there and talk about gang-on-gang violence. They're not. Now, I got this in my book that I'm currently writing and everything, and so it goes like this. Nobody's going to talk about that or bring up any of that about the gang violence during the 80s and 90s, during the assault weapons ban and whatnot. Why? Because it was already known back then that they would kill themselves. Especially when it was in black neighborhoods. You think anybody's going to blink an eye when, two gangs are killing each other on the streets? They're not going to bat an eye because it's already known that they're going to do it. Those guns that they got came from backdoor deals from gun shops. They came from corrupted government officials. They came from corrupted police officers. Plain and simple. And hey, most of them and some of them probably did come from the gun manufacturers themselves, selling them on the back door. You never know. But yeah, nobody's going to talk about that little statistic. Nobody. All they're going to look at is the violence in white neighborhoods or neighborhoods that nobody would see typical violence in. So that statistic, they wipe it off the table and they just look at the overall picture and whatnot, that during the assault weapon ban, there was not that many mass shootings or whatever. And also during that time, during the 80s and 90s, parents raised their children differently. Seriously, they did. I grew up in the 80s and 90s. I'm a Gen Xer, and I was raised totally different than what kids are being raised now, okay? I got my ass handed to me by my parents if I stepped out of line. I was held accountable for all the misdeeds that I committed. If I fucked up and committed a crime or I got in trouble at school, I was held accountable. My parents didn't go after the teachers. My parents didn't go after the neighborhood parents or whatnot. They'd look straight at me and go, "What'd you do?" You don't get that today. It's a big factor in the mass shootings today compared to back then. And it's not so much because there's guns everywhere. Yes, that is a part of it, but it is not the biggest picture of the reason of the influx of shootings, is because of easy access to guns. There's always been easy access to guns because parents, grandparents always had their guns sitting around in the house. They were always there. But the kids, like me, who grew up in that time, knew better. You pretty much fucked around and found out real quick if you picked up that gun. The gun wasn't going to kill you. Your parents were going to kill you. Or they're going to beat you half to death and teach you not to. Or they would teach you how to shoot it, to respect it. Kids today that are, or young adults that are committing these young crimes today, these mass shootings today, they didn't grow up the same way that people in my generation did. They're growing up with a silver spoon in their mouth, growing up with believing that they will be number one no matter what. Even if they came in last place, they are still number one. And even if they came in last place and lost at a game or a competition of some sort, they still got a trophy. These kids today, or young adults today, don't have that same discipline. Now, people like me in my age group, yeah, we can be violent. I guarantee you, we are committing less crimes, mass shootings, per se, than the younger generation. I'm not saying it's not happening, but there's far less of us doing these things. My generation does buck up. Trust me, I see it all the time in the news that there's some dumbass 44, 45 years old that went out and decided to, I don't know, kidnap a fucking governor in fucking Michigan or some shit. Or attempted to. Or they decided to storm DC because their God King lost. Gen X does some stupid shit, trust me. We do. We're the first ones to admit it. But there's a lot of us that don't. And there's also a lot of the younger generation that also know better than to go out and commit heinous acts against a fellow human being. But every generation has their problems. Every generation. But right now, this is what the biggest cause is. That kids today, or the younger generation, didn't get their ass handed to them. Didn't get a belt to their ass. They didn't get put in the corner. They didn't get timeout. They didn't get their electronics taken away. They didn't get grounded from seeing their friends for the weekend. They didn't get any of that. You get an F in school, you can go out and play with your friends. Get the fuck out of my house. I did that shit. Got an F in school. I was not allowed to leave my house for an entire summer because I was too busy reading and writing and learning. I screwed up at school, got detention, I got grounded as soon as I got home for 3 weeks. All because I decided to goof off in the classroom. I didn't turn in my homework. Guess what? I wasn't playing the video games at night. And back then it was Atari and, you know, the old school NES, so that wasn't happening. Today, they don't do that. They don't take these kids' electronics away. They don't do anything to hold these kids accountable, where the younger generation's being held accountable for nothing. That is a big problem. The other issue on top of that is, let's say, the gay club shooting in Colorado. That's a hate crime. I don't give a shit how you look at it. I don't give a shit what he used or whatnot. It is a straight up hate crime, just like the Buffalo, New York shooting. White kid walks in with an AR-10 with "kill" on his gun, and he purposely went after black Americans. Only to find out now that the U.S. government is not going to charge him for hate crimes. This is part of the problem. They're not being held accountable. It was a straight up hate crime. And now with the gay club shooting in Colorado, because the kid wasn't raised properly, because he was raised by a magtard who believes that gays and lesbians and trans are an abomination to their God, who somehow they believe still exists after all this shit, an abomination to their God King, Trump. He went on a rampage, killed 5 or 6 people until he was taken down by patrons in the bar. That dude's daddy is anti-gay across the board. He is anti-LGBTQ all the way across the board. Doesn't want nothing to do with him. And the bad thing is that nothing is going to come out of this. This kid will get charged for first-degree murder all the way across the board on several different counts. But when it comes to the hate issue, nothing's going to happen. And the reason why I say that is because look at all the pastors and preachers and priests and other government officials that have come out stating that, that anybody that's part of the LGBTQ community needs to be lined up and have a bullet in their head, back of their head. And nothing has happened to them. Nothing. Not a single person. Now, I get it. It's free speech. Everybody's entitled to say whatever they want. However, when you are sitting there promoting violence, that becomes something different. And you're promoting violence against another group of people. It's no different than the KKK going out there and promoting violence with their hate speeches against black Americans back in the day and even now. It's no different. But nothing happens to these people. They are not being held accountable for their words because the people are listening to this bullshit, and then they go out and commit these atrocities to the LGBTQ community. And nothing is being done. Nothing. So that's a big issue, is that all this hate that is going on in this country right now and the world, and there's no accountability for that hate. None. Now, it started long before Trump got into office. Long before Trump got in office. There's always been an anti-gay agenda, or whatever the hell you want to call it. It's always been there. However, Trump kind of made that seed grow faster and stronger than what it was during the 70s and 80s. And it's just being fueled by this fucking gasoline that these people keep throwing on it. And it's not helping anything. But we want to attack the guns first. We don't want to attack the hate that is going on in the world. You will not see any government official, you will not see any news media outlet sitting there and asking these questions. Why is this man so full of hate? Why did he actually do this? And what could be done to stop the next gay club shooting or act of violence against the LGBTQ? They won't ask these questions. The only thing they're going to ask is, how did he get that gun? What can we do to stop people like that from getting guns? You know, as I'm writing my book, I do a lot of research in my book, and just so I have a lot of facts and everything going into it to kind of back up what I'm saying. And there was a thing that I had found, and it was from Louisiana, and I can't exactly remember the dates on it, but it was a gay club fire. Someone had set fire to a gay club while people were in it and killed 50 people with fire. All he did was start a fire outside or inside the building and killed 50, 60 people. I don't think it was that high, but roughly around there. So it's not the gun that's the issue. It's the hate that is spilling over, because these people believe with all their heart that their God does not agree with it. Now, apparently their God is misguided somewhere, because he allows animals that are thinking, capable of feelings, able to come up with different reactions and whatever, where two giraffes can mate in the zoos. Primates are known to mate same-sex. Male lions have been seen to mate in the wild. Penguins, male penguins, are known to work together and be in a relationship together to raise an egg and, take care of the baby. Apparently God doesn't give a shit about gays whatsoever, but on the other hand, he apparently does to these people. So they go about and they do this shit and commit these atrocities to these people, these men and women, and then they're not held accountable for it at all whatsoever. Again, they will go after the guns, they will after the reason and how he got the gun, why he got the gun, but they will not look at the bigger picture and the deeper issues stemming from the outrage that this man or whoever shot up. Just like the Buffalo, New York shooter. Everybody knew he hated black Americans. Everybody knew. He had it all over his social media. His friends and family knew. He was a diehard Trump-tard, MAGA, Republican, Christian conservative, whatever. He was diehard. But nobody's going to attack that. Nobody. Not a single person is going to attack or ask what prompted him to do this. All they're going to ask is about the gun. And with the Walmart shooting, yep, he used an AR-15, and then we'll never know the actual truth of why he did it, because he put a bullet in himself, killed himself. And yet, people want to attack the gun again. Instead of looking at, well, what the fuck happened? He was a manager at Walmart. Great, he's not making that much money, but, he's a manager at Walmart. He's in charge of people, Did his fellow employees make fun of him? Were they busting his balls and he couldn't cut it? Was he having problems at home? Nobody will fucking know this shit. Nobody's going to ask this shit. All they're going to ask is, and say, he got that gun the same day that he shot his employees. And how did he get that gun? Knowing that he was going to do that. Now, these are all issues. The gun, it's an issue all on its own. No matter how you fucking look at it. It is an issue. Yes, I'm not saying that it's not an issue. It is an issue. And like I said, I'm a gun owner, and I wish there was tougher laws, and I wish there was something enacted that kept the psychos from getting guns. But again, you take away the guns, people will find another way. Waco, Texas, not Waco, Oklahoma City bombing. That one comes to mind real quick, because the man was on the red flag list on everything, and he wasn't able to purchase a gun or anything. But guess what? He used a U-Haul truck, fertilizer, and some C4. So, and then the people that do all these other atrocities. There's always something. There will always be a way to hurt people. Why? Because we are human beings. It's in our DNA. Whether you want to believe it or not, it is integrated into our DNA to be violent against one another. We've always been like that since we first walked on this planet millions of years ago. We have always been violent against one another. It's not changed. We just upgraded the tools to make it easier. Spears, arrows, fire, rocks, shields, swords, bows and arrows, crossbows, cannons, musket rifles, knives. We just upgraded everything. The intentions were always there to commit these atrocities to one another, because that's who we are. It's integrated into our DNA. Nobody wants to believe that because they think I couldn't hurt a fly. Trust me, your life is on the line, or someone that you love and care for's life is on the line, you will commit atrocities against somebody else. I would, in a heartbeat. I'm not an actively open, violent person. I try to resolve shit or walk away from certain things. But if somebody fucks with my kids, somebody fucks with my girlfriend, somebody fucks with my home, my pet, best believe I'm going to be a violent person very quickly. I will become something that I have not been since I was a teenager and in my early 20s. Here I am in my 40s. Been a long time. But it's integrated in us. We are all prone to violence, no matter how you look at it. It's just integrated. But these are things, all the issues that I talked about, these are things that the government and the media needs to start looking at. Not just the guns. Don't worry about the gun. Ask, what was the intention? Why? Why was the intention there? What could we do to stop the hate that is plaguing this country and the world? What can we do to become better and to resolve all of our differences as a species? Regardless if someone's white, black, Chinese, South African, Australian, Russian, whatever, man, woman, trans, non-binary, it doesn't matter. What difference does it make that we are, as a human species, of what the other person is? It's so bad today that people are committing violent acts against one another because their political beliefs are different than the other person. And for what? But these are questions that nobody wants to ask in the media or the government. They want to go straight for the guns. Just, yes, go for the guns. That's not the biggest issue here. It is not. It is an issue, yes, but it is not the biggest issue. We need to start looking at the deeper issues of what's causing all of this. The gun ain't causing this. The gun is just making the intention easier. But what's actually causing these people to lash out, to have hate against another class of people, or to shoot up their job? What's going on? And it's not just systematic racism that's involved. It's a mixture of everything. We have the economy that is clearly bouncing back and forth. Nobody knows for sure. The media says it's down. Then they say it's coming up a little bit. But then when you go to the malls, it's completely packed. And people are losing their jobs still. But there's also people getting jobs. There's so much mixed signals that nobody knows what's going on. People are losing their homes. The whole pandemic thing kind of set everything into go motion, I should say. Because everybody was fine. Yes, there was shootings, there was violence, but it wasn't nowhere near what we're getting now. It's getting worse and worse. Everybody's got this pent-up rage. Everybody's got this pent-up energy that they don't know what to do with it, that they are so angry at themselves. Can't say themselves. Well, I can't say themselves because they put themselves in this situation, but they're going to blame another class of people. They're going to blame the government. They're going to blame other people instead of actually looking at themselves and hold themselves accountable. How about we get past all this bullshit? We can still all have guns and protect our neighbor and protect ourselves. But also, we don't need our guns to go out and kill people for just because they're gay or they're black or they're Chinese. Let's look at the deeper issues, the economy, the cities where a lot of shit's happening. Look at everything and wonder why, and ask why. Why is it like this? Why did we allow it to get to this point? And ask, how can we resolve it and make things better so there's no more violence of this magnitude against a certain class of people or against fellow co-workers? Remember, we're all human beings. We all share this planet with one another and other species. How about we start acting like we are the most intelligent and the most brilliant species? How about we pull our heads out of our asses and work together as one? otherwise, there ain't gonna be much of us left anytime soon.